I don't know why my stream is doing this weird thing. Hold up. Let me see if I can rotate it. Was it locked? Oh no. Okay. Goodness. Oh no. I'm stuck in a weird stream. Give me just one. Okay. Hello, all newcomers. Welcome back, my fellow Eternians. I see Seagots is in here. It's good to see you, Seagots. I am trying to figure out. Hello, can everybody see me all right? Is everybody doing well? I think my thing is like weird right now. I hate that it has like the black bars on the sides. It's doing like an up and down thing. So I'm sure if you're on a computer, it looks absolutely awful. I'm trying to figure out why it started out like this and how I can fix it. But it is good to see everybody. Hey, Steven joined us. Steven, it's good to see you. Mike joined us. It's good to see you. First off, good news, everybody. I'm going to grad school. I got into grad school. Found out today. Super excited. Happy about that. I've been on a camping trip. Camping trip was crazy. So I am, getting back. I didn't have any internet there. I figured I'd get to show you guys some of the stuff. First off, people are saying I'm fuzzy. Sorry to see that, Caden. Definitely let me know if it continues. Also, guys, please like the video. It helps a lot. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, again, I just came back from a camping trip. I didn't have any internet there. If I did, I would have shown you guys a ton of stuff. But one of the things that I did want to hype up, when I came back, I noticed something pretty interesting. We have passed a pretty big milestone for Eternian development as far as monetization. We are about to do a big push this month toward monetization. First off, because we're over 1,800 subscribers. Thank you guys. We're at 1,810 subscribers, which is huge for our channel. We've never surpassed milestones like that before. But in addition, we're at 3,700 watch time hours. As of today, oh goodness, let me see if I can show it. I'm sure the screen's going to be absolutely fuzzy, but I'll try and take a picture of it. We are at exactly, for some reason, 3,700 out of 4,000 watch time hours that we need. So all we need are 300 more watch time hours in order to hit our monetization goal. Now, what does that mean? That means that the more you guys hang out in these streams, the more we talk about micronations, the more we talk about Eternia's development as well as micronational development in general, we will be hitting 4,000 watch time hours soon. The last couple streams we did, we were doing, hey, Muhammad, it's good to see you. Assalamu alaikum. Onyx says, hey, can you give me a. Multiple people are joining in. Torrent said, shh, the movie's starting. I appreciate it. The silence is golden thing. But it's good to see you guys in the comments. Um, I wanted to say a few things real quick. First off, before we get too far off topic, this 4,000 watch time hours thing is really cool because, well, the 3,700, because the second we hit it, we will be able to apply for monetization, and there shouldn't be any reason why we don't get it. We have no copyright strikes, anything like that against us. We have no warnings from YouTube. The other thing, the last couple streams we did really big streams. Both of them, in fact, dealing with Muhammad. Muhammad is somebody that we've been talking to recently, who's been in Afghanistan and who's been dealing with his own conflicts there. And so we've been learning a little bit about his story and hearing about him and his family. So in those last couple streams, we streamed for a good long time because we wanted to hear out Muhammad's story and give him a chance to explain to the world kind of what's happening there and kind of the injustices that they're seeing under the Taliban regime and why it's so awful what's occurring there. And his firsthand accounts of that. That being the case, we've been talking to him, and so me just being fascinated by the story and trying to learn more about the situation that you cannot imagine. I mean, absolutely horrific stuff. It's been a situation where I have been streaming for like 5 or 6 hours, getting to know Muhammad, getting to know the rest of the people in the chat, getting to hear from your micronations. And so we have been at like a ton of watch. We got, I think, close to like 50 watch time hours the first stream, and then like 50 or 60 watch time hours the next stream. So we were getting like a ton of watch time hours, and they've all just started kicking in. So we are 300 watch time hours away, which means if we keep doing streams like that and we get 50 watch time hours a stream, we could easily be hitting our goals within a couple weeks. This is something that we have the opportunity to really push for right now, especially because this time last year, the last live stream that we would have done would have been on the 31st. Today is the 26th, so we still have a good few days left to go. Or I guess it would have been the 30th. The 30th would have been the last day. So we still have a good few days left to go before we're going to start having any kind of watch time hour reduction. But because of the pace that the channel's been growing at and developing at, it seems like we should have no problem continuing to accelerate there and do better and better. Once we get watch time, the great thing about that is, of course, we can continue doing these streams and hopefully start to make a little bit of money from them. But on top of that, we can start to make edited content and put that out there in a bigger and better way. So hopefully this should help not only you guys, but ourselves. It will also make it a little bit easier for us to focus on developing content and developing Eternia, because we'll be able to focus more on our economics, seeing as we'll have a baseline to grow from. Everybody's jumping in the chat. Steven, again, it's good to see you. Steven, I will message you after the stream because I have updates for you as well. That'll definitely help with like some of the stuff that we're doing. Steven and I, as well as Tiffany and our friend David, Citizen David, we're all going to be traveling to Microcon together and going to be developing Eternia's reputation there with all the other nations. So I'm super excited to see that happen. I'm super excited to get involved there. And until then, I'm looking forward to it. I'm like super eager. So there are big things to come. There's big news. Some of it I can talk about, some of it I can't talk about because it's just personal life stuff. But definitely big news. Again, I'm glad to see Muhammad here. That's been one of my biggest fears, is the last few days I've been away from my phone. So I've been enjoying my time. I needed a nice little vacation, and Tiffany's family brought us along to go camping. So I dropped my stuff. We went camping. We went to the next state over, and it was really nice. We got to go kayaking. It was really relaxing. There was no internet out there. I wanted to stream because it would have been beautiful. I would have loved for you guys to get to see it. But I didn't get to. I got super bad sunburn. Like I got a little bit sunburn on my arms and stuff. My knees and my legs are terrible because I was sitting in the kayak all day. We literally kayaked down a river, like 10 miles of river for like 6 hours. It was crazy. But that being the case, we were enjoying ourselves. We had a good time. And once it got me to thinking, about Eternia. It got me to be able to kind of focus and kind of put all the active buzz around social media and the micronational community aside for a second and just start thinking about what's important and what's beneficial for Eternia. So I've been thinking a lot about that and kind of how we move forward. But I've also really been focusing on my future and on trying to understand and develop where it is that I need to be in life to continue to move forward and make things better for everybody. So that being the case, again, a lot of updates. We're getting close to that 4,000 watch time hours, so I want us to continue pushing and continue trying to get those watch time hours. Again, the more that you guys can watch these streams while they're live or go back and watch other streams, that have already gone up, it helps us every single time you watch one of those. If you rewatch it, if you watch the full thing, especially, YouTube shares it more, the algorithm shares it, and it gets out there. Terminated Onyx says, hey, can you give me a rundown of what happened? Torrent says, pay me for my likes. Torrent's trying to cash in. Onyx says, I'm making a map part, multi-animator project. Hey, thank you very much. Oval does PvP says, what's up, Attilatera here. Hey, what's up, Attilatera? It's good to see you. I don't think I've seen you before in our streams. If I haven't, definitely make sure to like subscribe, hit that like button. I'm gonna pitch all the stuff. But it's good to see you. A lot of people don't get the notifications for this channel, so sometimes there will be people who have been subscribers for a long time who are like, I'm just never in the streams. Like hitting the notification bell, doing all that is really important to make sure that you're able to be here and hang out with us. I want to learn about people's nations, but a lot of the time, if I see a nation at like one point and then I don't hear from them for like a few months and then I see them again, sometimes I'll like confuse nations or mix stuff up. But the people who are consistently here and who are always talking, I tend to know them by heart. I'll remember their projects, I'll remember kind of the stuff that they're doing, and we'll get into like some deep, deep conversations about micronationalism, like Torrance, like Onyx. We have a ton of people here. Caden Republic is in here quite regularly as well. And of course, our new friend Mohammed. Le Detroit Diamer, if I pronounced it right. Le Detroit Diamer, if I pronounced that right, said, uh, Terate in the chat. Hey, what's up, Terate? How are you? Onyx said it, Onyx Clan. Muhammad said, how are you all? Caden Republic says, uh, uh, Caden Republic Economic Council made a big announcement yesterday and officially decided that we were going to looking to make marking a website budget. $1.20, $1.20. Hey, congratulations. That's awesome. What is that going to go to? How is that going to help your website? And do you feel like is that like an annual budget? Like, a lot of time when people create a budget, they can either do a project budget for one thing or they'll do a like an annual budget. So every year you're spending $1.20, or is it just for this year, or is it just for this one project? Let me know, and what you plan to use that for. A lot of time when people create budgets, they're itemized budgets, so they'll describe different things that they're going to be spending the money on. Onyx says, Muhammad, doing good. Hope you're safe. Muhammad said, I'm safe for now. Absolutely. That's what I was going to say as well. My biggest fear when I was away from the internet and stuff for a while was like, oh no, I hope Muhammad is okay. Because last time we had talked, he said that things were quiet, things were relaxed, for a minute. But he was worried. He was worried about attacks on his village, and also he said he was running out of fuel. So he was very concerned about the ability to continue talking to us and updating us on what's going on. And so I know there's been a lot of hectic things going on. I know there's been a lot of violence around him. But he's optimistic for the future. So I want to be able to continue to talk to you, Muhammad, if you're still here. I want to be able to continue to talk to him and to address these concerns that he has about his country, and as well to be able to, show our support as far as, understanding the huge human rights issues that are actively ongoing in Taliban-controlled Afghanistan. Onyx says, oop, Onyx put, haha. Ledroit Demir says sunburn. In Terate, we call that a sexy tan. Hey, I appreciate it, Terate. Again, if you get like the brown, like the golden brown, it's all right, I guess. But like the like deep red is a problem. That's when it just stings and it hurts. But I can respect it. I used to live closer to a beach, so I would more regularly be able to go and spend time there, and I wouldn't burn as badly, but now I do. I imagine Muhammad, in Afghanistan, I'm sure I would have a lot more difficulty. I would probably have to wear coverings all the time in order to prevent heat stroke because I've been in humid, warm climates before, subtropical climates. But I have never been in like an arid climate. So anything like Afghanistan, anything like, a lot of North Africa, anywhere that would be near, for example, like Arizona, Utah, in the United States, I would be, New Mexico, I would be burnt to a crisp. Um, Caden says, that is our current budget for the beauty we are seeing when we can do for advertising. Hey, congratulations. Caden says, in the Caden Republic, we call that hard work. Absolutely. Mohammed says, I always had sunburns when I was younger because Afghanistan, especially in the south, is very hot and humid. I imagine. Absolutely. I was going to say, I know. I guess maybe that's one of my misconceptions. I knew it was very hot, so I always thought it was very arid, like a desert. But that makes sense that there are certain parts that could certainly be very humid. Especially, we looked at maps the other day and we were seeing, approximately where Muhammad has described some of the events going on to us recently. You can see that there are certainly a lot of like little riverbeds and stuff, so I would imagine around there it is probably quite humid. Muhammad said, when my father and my family went to Kandahar. Oh wow, absolutely. That's interesting. Um, hmm, I don't know. When you, oh no, somebody's playing music. I hope we're not gonna get copyright striked by the music. Um, when you were doing that, when you were taking these trips, were they like vacations, or were they, you doing stuff, with your father's work? Was it just traveling to visit family? What was the situation? Also, is the region that you're in currently similar? Um, Torrance says, I'm back. What happened? Hey, Torrance, it's good to see you. I was just updating everybody on kind of what's been happening. I was congratulating everybody on the 3,700 watch time hours. If you guys didn't see it, I'm going to show it off again because this is incredible. This is the closest we have ever gotten to monetization, guys. Legitimately. Like, we have always been like ever reaching and getting close. This is like it in our sights. Like, we're lining it up in the crosshairs. We're getting it really, really close. Ari says, ooh, yeah, absolutely. So right now we have 8 people watching and 8 likes. I appreciate you guys supporting the stream and helping us out. If we can keep going with this, we can get monetization and start making a little bit of money very soon. Ari said 3,700. Muhammad said vacations when we had normal lives, when we had money. I'm sorry about that, Muhammad. Absolutely. And I think that's part of the reason that this is, I'm jumping back and forth between topics, and I certainly hope this isn't insensitive, because I do know that your situation is very important. It's ridiculous learning about your situation and hearing about it to know that there are plenty of people around the world who are in a much more difficult situation and who are actively struggling to survive. Like you said, you're in Taliban-controlled Afghanistan. You're fighting, it seems, every day from the updates that we got, just to make sure that your people have a chance of survival and continuation. It's not only something that's on the grounds of, political fighting, but even just for survival. It is, not only trying to reform a government, but it's trying to, bring about a calm state of life, a calm state of being for, everybody in your community, just for day-to-day life, just for, not even trying to, work about government reforms and things, just trying to make life stable. And that's, I think, something that we all underestimate, especially people who have never been in a situation like that. The people who have never come from a war-torn country, people who have never seen fighting firsthand. And so I think one of the big things for me, last time we were on stream, Muhammad brought up something really interesting. I had asked him if there was anything that he thought that people should know, that, as we're trying to spread his story, and we want to continue to do that. We want to make footage to show off some of these live streams and what we've talked about, and clip it and put it in to a video, which I've talked to one of our citizens, Vincent, about. He was going to try and get it out by Thursday of last week, but he ended up having some extra things to do. So if he's not able to do it, I'll take it over at some point and I'll work on it more. But I certainly, I think he's actively still working on it and developing it, from what I hear he is. So that being the case, as we continue to develop and as we continue to work on that, there was one moment that really caught me in Muhammad and I's conversation. He said that, when I asked him what was the most important thing that people should think about, of course he talked later about support, let people know what's happening, remember these heroes' names who are fighting and dying to just try and preserve their country and their way of life, against Taliban control, against this religious extremism and all this. But before that, he started off with something that was just a really human connection, just universal. He said, remember how fortunate you are. Feel lucky that you have a normal life. Feel grateful that you're not in this situation, effectively. And, be thankful for what you have. That hit me. It hit me really deeply because, first off, you're right, Muhammad, 100%. Knowing that you're in the situation that you're in, I have, of course, no reason to complain. I have no concept of that other than hearing from you and trying to learn, and trying to spread the message of that. On top of that, it's wild to me because having these few days where we were spending time enjoying this vacation, it was it was strange because we were camping. So we were camping by a river and we were, getting up in the morning. We went Friday, came in late in the afternoon. We set up our tents. We camped out on the side of this river. We cooked, we ate, we slept. Next morning we got up. We went to the place where we were going to launch our boats. We launched our boats. We rode them down the river, and then at the end we got picked up and drove them back, and stayed at our camp that night. Again, cooked, and then got up this morning, packed up the camp, and drove back. But that entire time, again, not having any internet access, not having any connection to the outside world, even to make phone calls, it was it was wild because it put me in a situation where, again, this feels super privileged to say, and this feels super, snooty to say, but it put me in a perspective where I I felt like I, uh, it made me a lot more grateful. It made me feel like I recognize everything that every single day I take for granted. That's not near to the extent of a situation like you have, Muhammad, where it's not a choice. It is 100% something that is a life or death situation. But doing things in a more simple way, doing things without the access to technology that I take for granted every day. It was a very small glimpse of it, and it was something that was self-inflicted. It was something that we chose to do because we're taking a vacation and it's fun and it's different. But that in and of itself makes me feel super humbled to know that I take using my phone for granted every day. I use it to do these live streams. I use it to call my father to check in on him. I use it to surf the internet. I use it to watch funny videos and post memes and do all these things. I I go out to the store and I'll like buy things to eat. Not all the time. I have to conserve my money, but when I get the opportunity, every once in a while, if I'm lucky, we can go out to a restaurant or something like that. That's not something that is okay. You know what I mean? That it's good. It's good that I have that, but to understand that for many people around the world, that just as a baseline doesn't exist. That all of those things that I just gave examples of, it's not even like those are like sometimes they have them, sometimes they don't. For a lot of people, that's just not an option. And so, fortunately, Muhammad does have internet connection to some extent. He has limited resource to connect to us, but he still does have some. And I think that's a necessary tool for survival. I think it helps you to understand the perspective of one, being appreciative for what you have, as Muhammad taught us. Then, on top of that, it shows you that nowadays, in order to really make larger change, in order to really get people to understand what's happening and to draw support, even just for conversation, it's almost necessary to have connection to the internet. I think at this point, connection to the internet is starting to become something that looks more and more like a human right. It's starting to become something that is fundamental and necessary for, connection to other people around the world, but also to being able to function more and more necessarily as you go on. And I'm not talking about, my little camping trip. Oh, it's necessary that I have my phone in my hands all the time. But for more so like Muhammad's case, where there should be infrastructure built. And for people all around the world, there should be infrastructure built so that no matter where you are on the planet, no matter what is happening to you, you should be able to, without a government being able to turn on and off the switch to your access, be able to connect to other people around the world and show them what's happening to you and let them know how they can reach you and how they can be there for you. It's building a support network for people around the world, no matter what their situation or their government, that they have some baseline freedom to connect, and that's important. Ari says 3,700 watch time. Torrance says, congratulations as you approach monetization. Thank you, Torrance. I appreciate that. And you're helping us to do it. Manu jumped in. Hey, Manu, I know you're going to be excited about this. Manu and Ari are both people who are have been in our our channel for a good long time. Um, I will say, 3,700 watch time hours, Manu. We're getting like close to 4K, and it's all because of you. If we can keep pushing, if we can do these streams for a good long time, and we can, have even today, if we had 8 viewers for the full duration of this stream for an hour, we would have 16 watch time hours. That's not huge, you know what I mean? Some of these other days we've had like 50, but that still keeps us going. That still keeps building the momentum. So, if we can get 24 hours of watch time, if we can get 50 hours of watch time, that is going to change the game for us. And it's going to allow us to do a lot more with respect to hitting this monetization and making sure that once we hit it hard. And secondly, that we are able to do more things to bring you better and better content. So you're helping us to grow the channel. You're also helping us to get more subscribers, because the more that our content is out there, the more that it's shared with the general public, the more people learn about micronationalism, the more that they learn about Eternia. So they get to check us out. They get to get a little bit of a taste for what we do here. They get to see how much fun you guys have in the live streams and get to connect with other nations. And then we also end up in a situation where we can really start to convince other people to give it a chance, to not just look at micronationalism and, lift their nose up at it and say, oh, this is weird, or this is different. It gives you an opportunity to try to understand why people would be chasing political motivations, why they would be wanting something different, why they would be wanting to change their lives. And so, that being the case, there is definitely opportunity here. Every time we get a new subscriber, every time somebody says, like Muhammad did, hey, this was in my recommended, and it surprised me that it was in my recommended. We get wonderful stories like his. We get to learn about people who we may have met otherwise. I'm fortunate for that, because it's changed my life for the better. But on top of that, even Jason, you guys have seen Jason in the streams before. He's a family friend of Tiffany's family. He's her sister's boyfriend. And so even he, doesn't have any he's never Googled micronations. He's never looked anything like that up. And yet by being on these live streams, his YouTube channel, even though he's not even subscribed to us, his YouTube recommended him our channel. I think because he was on it, but it still, it trafficked it to him. So we're getting a larger audience. We're getting to know more people. And hopefully that can continue to grow us and continue to get us more subscribers. If we can hit 2,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time, we will be sitting pretty for a lot of growth. First off, let me bring this up. Muhammad said, still, I must say right now, it is better than the 1990s when $1 was 143,000 Afghanis on the black market. That's absolutely ridiculous. That's insane. What was that as a result of conflicts in Afghanistan? Was that as a result of... I'm not super familiar with the history of Afghanistan in the 1990s. What was going on? Why was there such rampant inflation? Do you know? Nova says, I'm starting my own micro country and was asking if you would like to be an ally. I appreciate it. I guess I'm trying to figure out who she's talking to. Nova might be talking to me, in which case I would say we have an alliance application. If you hit up our website, eternianempire.wixsite.com/imperial market, or you can Google the Empire of Aeternia, and we should be one of the first couple links, our Wix site there. You can go to the Alliance tab, click on it, and apply for an alliance with us. And we'll look at it, we'll get back to you, and we'll hopefully be able to strike something up. I appreciate it. If you've already emailed us or filled out an alliance application, though, please let us know again at eternianempire@gmail.com. You can email us or you can hit us up on Discord, and I will get back to you that way as well. I always like to check in to make sure that sometimes people type their email address in wrong or whatever, and I'll send an email and it'll never go through, or they'll say the email address doesn't exist. So I get stuck with no way to contact the person who did fill out an application. So in the case that you've been waiting on one or something, please let me know. But otherwise, that's the best way to do it, is to fill out an application so I understand a little more about your nation and can make an informed decision. Muhammad says, you can be an ally of the Northern Alliance. I imagine talking to Nova, and says, any individual from foreign countries that supports our cause is an ally. Very cool. Thank you, Muhammad. I'm sure a lot of people in the chat will be very excited to be able to make that connection. Fake Name says, I came home today to see Micronation stuff, and now my heart is warmed to the presence of Muhammad. Absolutely. I think everybody is. Again, for a long time, when I was on this camping trip, that was my big worry. I didn't have internet access, and I was like, I don't know if when I get back, Muhammad's gonna have like run out of gas or gonna be in like a dangerous situation where he can't talk. I was scared. I was scared that would have been the last time that I got to talk to him, especially because once I got back, I felt super guilty. I saw in my messages, like we stepped through the door here, and all of a sudden, all of my messages started going off, saying like a number from Muhammad, saying like, "Hey, are you able to stream today? We're doing all right. Here's an update. Are you able to stream? I'd like to see you." And I felt really, really bad. There were again over the last 2 days, he had messaged one or two times, and once one day I think, and once another day, and I felt really guilty because I wanted to update him. I in fact told him like, oh, more than likely when we get there, there's gonna be internet access, and I'm gonna be able to like do a live stream because I had planned to do a live stream with Jason, and I was gonna introduce him to Muhammad, and us get to talk a little bit about the situation. And I wasn't able to. We got out there, and there wasn't even a way for me to contact Muhammad to let him know, hey, there's not going to be a stream. So it was rough, but I appreciate you all being here. Fake Name says, Gorth says, hello AP, have you seen my DMs? Hello Gorth, it's good to see you. I don't think so, I'll have to go back and double check it. I appreciate it, Gorth. Manu says, the past weekend I logged into my Twitch account for the second time in my life. I appreciate it, Manu, thank you very much. So I was gonna say, that's another big thing that I figured out. I still want to get onto Twitch. Twitch affiliate is like 50, what is it? Followers, 50 followers on Twitch, and you have to stream like 7 or 8 hours within a month's time, and that's all you need to be a Twitch affiliate. So, and that's also a way to start making money. So what I want to do is hopefully come in here soon with our monetization here on YouTube, as some additional income that we'll be generating. We should be able to be in a position where we can pay for a couple nice things. One of them being a multi-stream platform. So there are a number of platforms that will allow you to stream not only from one like YouTube, but also to stream on Twitch and a number of platforms. So what I'm hoping to be able to do is to get our follower count up. You also need like 3 average followers or something on your streams. What I could do is I could set up that platform so long as we have the Wi-Fi capability to do it, which may be kind of shoddy, hit or miss. But if I can set that up properly, I could get a good Wi-Fi signal. I could set everything up, and then I could stream on multiple platforms. So we could get YouTube monetization, then I could move over to Twitch, get Twitch monetized, and then we could be rocking and rolling, and it would be very nice. But thank you, Manu, for supporting us. That being the case, the thing that I figured out was that with YouTube monetization, the thing that I was afraid of, there was a few days where, like I said, we had record-breaking streams where over 2 days, I think we had over 120 watch time hours. And after those 2 days had passed, I didn't see any change in our watch time. In fact, our watch time had gone down. So we had at that point like 45 watch time hours, 3,545 watch time hours, or 3,555 watch time hours, or something like that. And then by the end of it, it went down to, no, it was 3,545 watch time hours. And then over those 2 days, I was really excited because I was like, oh, we're about to blow up into the 600s. And then it went down to 3,541 watch time hours, even though we had just gained 120 watch time hours on live streams. And so I did some Googling, and YouTube's policy says that streams that get live viewership like this one don't actually count toward monetization. The only thing that counts toward monetization is after the stream has ended, and the viewership is applied for watches after, people watching the stream after it is already ended, which I was like, oh, that's terrible because we only get, maybe 1 or 2 hours, over the rest of the lifetime of the video after it goes live. The majority of the time, people want to be here, they want to participate live. So if that's the case, our watch time hours are about to start crashing and burning because we can't keep up. However, dun, 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 it did. It has applied. It took a couple days, but it went through and it jumped up to 3,700. So clearly, they are applying. It is working. When I thought it wasn't, I was trying to like come into a mad dash to figure out what to do because I was like, "There's no way we're going to be able to make monetization now, at least not for a good long time. So how are we going to do this? This is going to be a huge roadblock for our efforts because I had banked everything on live streaming. So then I was like, oh well, Twitch affiliate's fairly easy. Let me jump over to Twitch and do that. Even Muhammad got a Twitch account just to try and support us. And so I was like pacing on what to do. We did our first Twitch stream the other day. It went off pretty well. We had, I think, 3 or 4 viewers consistently in the stream. But then, I didn't know what to do. So I was trying to figure out, okay, we got to get on Twitch now, and we got to advertise the Twitch. We got to do everything we can to get on Twitch. It's all about Twitch now. But no, it worked out. So fortunately, thank you all so much for your support in doing that. I don't want to have that taken for granted, so eventually we are going to move some stuff to Twitch and start doing kind of cross-platform stuff. But if it's easier for you guys, it certainly helps us out right now to stay on YouTube, and that's going to be the plan. We will be continuing to work with YouTube as much as possible, especially as we get monetization. So I appreciate you guys supporting and helping us grow in that way. Again, it was just me. I was freaking out. I was trying to figure out what to do because it was going to be a big pivot if I had to do that. Torrent says, how many citizens does Aeternia currently have? Do you have a rate over time? So we have, as of right now, I believe 12 citizens. I need to double check. But I believe with the newest edition of our citizenship, we have 12. We've had kind of fluctuations, and that's what I would bring up as well. You asked about how many, what a rate would be over time. We haven't developed a rate simply because we have waxing and waning periods. A lot of the time, because of what our requirements are, they're fairly strict. We require you to either pay a fee on Patreon, a tax, or we ask you to contribute some kind of work to the Empire. A lot of the time, people end up doing both. But that being the case, the base minimum requirement is, of course, to be following the rules and things that we set out for base citizenship requirements, and then on top of that, one of those is to either contribute economically in some way, whether that's to work on helping us develop projects like our content here, or whether that's developing our economy through a tax. You can do either or both. So we have this waxing and waning period where a lot of the time, younger people especially, will come in during the summer. And so there will be a big waxing period, a big explosion of citizenship during the summer, and we'll get a lot of people in who are working really hard. But then all of a sudden, we will have like a big decrease during the fall. And so that, and winter, because people will go back to school, people will be, needing to work more, whatever it is. And so they will shift gears. And they'll have to, they won't be able to commit to their citizenship anymore. And because we want to keep the value of that citizenship, we don't let that slide. We want to make sure that we're consistent with people and keep the value of that. So people will end up leaving their citizenships. We've rarely had to kick anybody out of a citizenship. The only times that we've ever had to do that are when, somebody's being like aggressive or like belligerent or something. Most of the time it's just that we are, talking to that person, trying to ask them about what they're up to, and them just saying, hey, I can't commit to it or whatever, and this isn't a good time for me. So the thing that I would say is we've never really created a rate because for years we have experienced that fluctuation. And so it would be, a strange rate because it would be so jagged. Of course, you can make a trend line, you know what I mean? Like we could plug it into something like Excel and create trend lines, but that's not something that has been super valuable for us at the moment, just because of how reactive it's been, because of how unstable that trend has been. However, we have started to stabilize it a lot more quickly, especially this summer, where we haven't had a huge blow up in citizens, but our number of citizens has stayed very consistent between the fall and winter when we would normally hemorrhage citizens to now. So we're moving in a positive trend. We're able to slowly kind of grow up and improve things. But we have been in a situation where we're going from, let's see, around probably 9 or 10 citizens when we started in the fall, going from like 12 or 13, maybe even more than that, 14 or 15 citizens probably at like the peak summer in like June or, July. And then we ramped down once the fall started to probably about 9 or 10 in August. And then we, went to, and that was again one of those fluctuations. It used to be harder than that. It used to be even more extreme. But then we had 9, and then now we've gone back up to 12. So we actually gained, I think, one of those during the fall and winter months. And then now with actually I believe David joined it. He might have joined in last summer, so it might have been 10 right at the end of the summer. But then fall and winter we had that. Starting into summer we've gained an additional 2. So I believe we're right at 12. Again, that's still some change, that's still some fluctuation, but it's been a lot more stable. So we haven't created an official trend for that yet. We don't post that information, but I can talk about the trends we've seen to some degree. Um, and I believe that trend more so than the fact that it's increasing, which every year our citizenship has gone up. It's quite dramatically actually over the last couple of years as we've tightened our citizenship requirements. So it's not only been more citizens, but it's been more valuable citizens. It's also become a situation where we're growing in population, but we're also stabilizing, which I think is a lot more important an aspect. Manu says, "Man, I remember how to dress like a leader was new video, like it was yesterday." Absolutely. And Manu, if you did like that video, we're gonna be coming out with similar content very soon, so you should check that out. Again, right now we're at 3,700 watch time hours, so I really want to dig in and push for that monetization. The majority of stuff we're going to be focusing on for the next month is probably going to be live stream content, at least until we hit that, because we want to be bragging at MicroCon and saying, we got monetization, look at us, we're so cool and fancy and hype. But that being the case, we're going to be doing that, and then as we go along, I still have plenty of stuff from the land that I haven't finished editing, that I haven't finished putting out for you guys. So of course we're going to have more Eternian land development in Vitae to come out to you guys. Of course we're going to have more stuff that's covering like topic-based videos. But I've been wanting to do a lot of my topic-based discussions on live streams recently for you guys who are really coming in to support us. Also, I see we got 9 viewers, 13 likes. Thank you guys for liking and supporting the channel. It means a lot. The more you guys like it, again, the more that we can share this content with the world and get more people to hang out with us like Muhammad. Oh, we got 10 viewers. Thank you guys. Muhammad said, yes, it's because of conflict. He's talking about the 1990s in Afghanistan and the inflation that was going on. He said it was, $1 to like 140,000 Afghanis. And he said, many warlords printed their own banknotes in 1990. There were around 13 billion Afghanis in circulation in 2000. There were trillions of Afghanis. Oh, goodness. In 2000, there were trillions of Afghanis. I'm so sorry. That's insane. So, from a 10-year period, inflation peaked, pretty, what is that? Billions to trillions. So 1,000% or more. You know what I mean? It absolutely shot up 1,000, 10,000%, something like that. It absolutely blew up. That's awful. I'm sorry to hear about that, and I certainly hope that can be reined in. I know now with the Taliban government, it seems like things are still just as wild. You said the inflation isn't nearly as bad as the 1990s, but I'd be curious as things, as there are more revolts, as there are more people fighting back, do you think that warlords will gain prominence again? Do you think that money printing issue could become a larger problem? Do you think it's becoming a larger problem in the current Taliban regime? Ryan says, hello, what do you think of gun control at the state and local level in the USA? That's a great question, Ryan. So I would say that's an interesting topic because living in the South my entire life, I have seen a lot of people who are very, very supportive of their Second Amendment rights, as they put it, their right to bear arms, having the ability to use weaponry. I myself have shot guns before. You know, I enjoy some of the benefits of that, but at the same time, a lot of the benefits that I've used them for have been hunting. That's been rare occasions, and that's something where I'll be using a shotgun or a rifle. So I'll say as far as what's currently happening on the state and local level in the United States, there's very minimal. Of course, again, I'm in the South, so I haven't seen a ton, but I know, when you talk about northern states or when you talk about states that are more progressive, certainly, states along the eastern and western seaboards, there is a lot more regulation. There's a lot more gun control, and I think that's probably a good thing because of their increased population, decreased amount of, actual hunting and recreation area. With those larger populations come larger metropolitan areas. So I definitely think in large cities, even, in Alabama, where we're at, even in, the South, I think in large city populations, in large dense urban areas, there should be a limit on the type of guns that you can have and when and where you can brandish those weapons. A lot of people are big fans of open carry laws, especially when they do protests, carrying AK-47s and things like that, showing up to different rallies and different events with, large machine guns and stuff. And I think that's very concerning. Maybe not AK-47s, ARs, AR-15s and stuff like that. That's that's really concerning to me. And so I feel like those situations, there should be an increased state and local requirement for specifically local, talking about a city area, talking about maybe even a county, but specifically those urban areas. An increased requirement for gun control. I think there should be more of it. I think the law should become more homogenous in that sense. Again, there are plenty of cities who already have that, New York City, for example, but there are plenty of places that really lack it that would probably benefit a great deal from it. On the other hand, on the reverse side, I think for a lot of areas, they're very rural areas, which, for the state level, there really doesn't need to be a ton of legislation on gun control. I think the main place that I have a larger issue with gun control is specifically in the purchase of firearms. You know what I mean? The keeping of firearms, I think, is something that should be relatively open. Of course, there's going to be black market issues that people deal with. There's going to be, the the ability for people to obtain guns illegally, but I think the larger issue there is people getting guns in the first place. Illegally or legally, if you are getting a gun, you should be attempting and encouraged to register, even if you're obtaining it illegally. I think that would help you to, of course, there should be some issue and some fine with obtaining something illegally, but you still should have some ability and encouraged ability to have all weapons in the United States registered. That way, you can really decrease the amount that the government has no idea where these weapons are, which happens very frequently with things like gun show purchases, with things like, black market purchases. And as well, uh, really being able to understand who is going to have these weapons. I don't think gun control should be to the extent that, anytime you're going out hunting, anytime you're going out to use your weapon, which I don't think really happens much at all in any state, that it's constantly being checked. There are certain scenarios, in certain states where if you go, um, if you are found driving with a weapon or something like that, that they're going to really go out of their way to check what it is that you're doing with the weapon, making sure it's registered to you and all of that. But I think a lot of states, especially here in the South, are fairly lax with that. And unless you are seen committing some other type of crime, there really isn't a ton of investigation as to who the gun belongs to and what's happening with it, especially if you're on private property. The larger thing, again, I feel like is people's ability to obtain guns, why they're obtaining them, how they're obtaining them. Once somebody owns a gun and it is, in their possession, I think as long as the law has a general understanding of it, and as well that that is, reasonable for who that person is and why they would have a gun in the first place, you really are able to um, prevent a lot of larger issues. Again, we see school shootings in the United States. We see plenty of gun deaths just from like violent one-on-one interactions, people attacking law enforcement, medical professionals, people attacking, friends and family and neighbors, people attacking, animals with weapons just because of the fact that they're around and because, a fairly unstable person may have that. So I think uh, having an ability to regulate and to have accurate information on where guns are going and to who they're going to whom they're going to in the United States is super, super critical for us being able to uh, prevent a lot of unnecessary violence and death. I will say, however, that I think that once that is the case, there is a significant enough decrease. And again, I have no numbers to test this. I have no way to verify it statistically, but I think you would dramatically decrease the amount of unnecessary gun deaths, especially if you were to encourage, like I said, weapons obtained illegally to be registered regardless. If you could be able to track illegal weapons trade, you would be able to very drastically improve conditions here in the United States. And I think that goes in part to the manufacturers and the sellers of these weapons. Obviously they want as little regulation as possible, but if you could encourage that and give them kickbacks for that, you could potentially encourage them to get on board with those laws. At the same time, if you were able to get gun owners and supporters of the Second Amendment to really understand and support tiering with weaponry. Talking about the concept that, like in some other countries, there are different gun laws. There are different licenses that you can get, and of course that happens to some effect with, for example, concealed carry in the United States, where having a weapon hidden on your person or not is different and requires a special license. But there aren't a ton of like weapons class licenses that you need or normally do get. There may be specific types of permits, such as people get a pistol permit, for example, or a permit for registering a rifle or something, depending on what state you're in. But there are normally not regulations, especially in urban areas, for saying you need to have this specific, license and have been trained through this specific thing in order to be able to, get a, automatic weapons license or be able to get, a high caliber rifle license or something like that. I think it would be or to be able to get certain, extensions or modifications for weapons, like high round magazines and stuff like that. I think it's really, really necessary for us to try to understand as best we can the places where a lot of the issues with shootings and with gun violence happen in order for us to better regulate and improve conditions while still allowing people to feel like and to express their Second Amendment rights has been established in the United States. I think we have a big all or nothing mentality when it comes to that. And I don't think that necessarily has to be the case. I think the more regulation, probably the better in terms of gun violence. And so I'm always a proponent of regulation, but at the same time, I have lived around and seen plenty of people who are very, very adamant about their ability to express in that way and their ability to, as they claim it, defend their families, hunt and do all of these things. That really they just want to have these weapons. So that being the case, I think having a pre-established culture around weaponry and self-defense and the ability to take arms, and all of this, I feel like it's necessary for us to do so with an approach that is not moderate, that is progressive in gun reform, but is legitimately practical for people who are planning to continue to own and operate with weaponry after, in a manner similar to they have before the legislation comes about, but also to make sure that they're still active in regular screening for anybody who's going to purchase new weaponry. Um, a whole bunch of stuff. Ryan says it was way more popular in the past. I heard that as well. Even the NRA was on board with it for some period of time until, of course, it no longer came of their interest. Especially the NRA, it was really wild to see, was supportive of it when it came to situations historically when people of color had the were doing things like, for example, open carry protests and stuff like that in the United States. When you see, for example, like the Black Panther Party being popular, then the NRA was really, really supportive of like, oh, we need to have gun regulation and proper gun control and stuff like that. And then, after larger gun lobbying started existing and moving forward in the United States, those gun manufacturers just kind of went completely the opposite direction. Fake name says, stay humble, AP. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, fake name. I'm going to try my best. And I feel like a big part of that is you guys keeping me in check as well. I always come to you guys. I share a lot of who I am with you. So you guys letting me know what you think and your opinion. I don't always agree, and sometimes I'm going to move forward with things regardless of, people's opinion, because that's what I have to do for leadership. That's what I have to do, to be myself and to create the ideal life for myself and my family and my nation that I want to. But at the same time, I definitely do want to hear your opinion, and a lot of the time it does have a large effect on me. Muhammad says, imagine if AP was U.S. president, how much better the world would be. I appreciate it. That means a lot. I don't think I'm necessarily qualified. I would say, first off, again, that's not a position I'm interested in. I really don't like the setup. I feel like I can do a lot better and help a lot more people in the role that I'm in now, and hopefully the expanded role that I'll get in too much later. I would like to develop Aeternia to be as much as it can be, and I'd like to do so in a really positive way, in a way that follows the law to the letter in the United States, in a way that shows people that things can be done right and political change can be done in the right way, that you can be an activist, that you can move forward for the right reasons, that you can pursue things like climate change, gun reform, women's rights, all of these issues, and still do so in a way that is effective, that is quick, relatively speaking, of course, rather than all of the voting and lobbying that comes with the normal political system, and not necessarily have to try to be totally anti-government, whatever, or be trying to spend your whole life campaigning. I feel like there is a way to build equitable, substantial progress through the proper channels. Benjamin Burrows says, hi, AP. Hey, Benjamin, how are you? Fake name says, stay humble. I appreciate it. Also, you guys, 11 viewers, 15 likes. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Again, continue liking, continue subscribing, continue talking about a lot of stuff here. Of course, I'm updating and trying to teach you guys a little bit more about what I've been learning about. Everybody on 3,700 watch time hours for this channel, getting near to our goal of 4,000. We're 300 away, you guys. Right now, we have 11 viewers at an hour of watch time. If we had another hour of watch time and we had 11 viewers, we would be hitting over 20 watch time hours. That would be huge for us to be able to get that monetization and get it quick. Every day that we stream, every day that we come out here and are able to work together to plan the larger future of micronationalism and advertise it, we are hitting bigger and bigger milestones, and I personally am thankful for that. You're helping Aeternia to grow, which I hope means that we can give back to the community and help micronationalism grow at the same time, hand in hand. Manu says, I just noticed that half of your 2019 videos were uploaded in December. Absolutely. So a lot of the time, I'll get these breaks during the year when I'm in school. And so I will be on Christmas break, and I'll be like, oh, that's when I can upload like seven videos all of a sudden, because I have a week of break or whatever. Now that I've been doing live streams, things have been a little bit different, but still been trying to move further. All Things PlayStation says, Jesus loves you and will help you through anything. Thank you very much, All Things PlayStation. That means a lot. I appreciate your support. As well, I wanted to say, I saw your comments the other day. You like blew up one of our videos with like, Jesus loves you. And I appreciate that. That's a really kind message. As well, I wanted to say, does that have anything to do with like your PlayStation stuff? Like, are you somebody who's like, I started a YouTube channel about like PlayStation and my love of God? Like, what's your thing? Hit me up. It's just interesting to see, like, a lot of time if you see somebody posting that kind of stuff, it'll be like their username is like Psalms 11:15 or whatever. Like they'll have some specific name associated with their views. But it's interesting to see that yours is a little bit different, so I wanted to learn about it. Muhammad said, inflation will be back on that level because that one province that is controlled by warlords is printing their own counterfeit Afghans. Oh no. Okay. Wait, so is this the same province that broke away from the Taliban? I saw the last time you and I talked, there was some news that I was reading when we were talking about the earthquake that happened there in Afghanistan about the concept that there was a Taliban leader from the West, I want to say. Not from the West, like, Western nations, but from the Western part of Afghanistan, I thought, who had broken away. He and his group were, rebelling against the Taliban. They were fighting back. There was kind of an insurgency going on, and so he was, his army, his group were fighting back. Is that the warlord you're referring to, or is there someone else? Um, but that's horrible. People are, trying to kill each other and destroy each other's lives and their communities and their homes, all because of, the greed to make a little bit more money, to have a little bit more power. Manu says, I guess I started watching on the second half of 2019, but it was mostly old stuff like realist versus fantasy, economy, the war video, and Parkistopia. But then you suddenly started uploading regularly. Absolutely. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people were on. You know what I mean? A lot of the time there are a few of our videos that go really, really big and that are really, really popular, and that's really all people know us from. Even today, there will be people who email me and, message me and say things like, "Hey, I just watched your economy video, or you just watched your all war is stupid video, or whatever, videos from 2, 3 years ago," and then they'll message me and they'll say, "Okay, so how do I do things with a culture, or how do I do things with, my clothing, or whatever? How do I do things?" With developing like the basics of a micronation, where do I get started with things? And we have plenty of videos on those topics as well. So I'm always eager to show people that and excited to show them that. But I feel like there is something that we could be doing better as far as our um, as far as our management of our channel, and as far as giving people the proper ability to see things and to find videos that are entertaining for them and also educational. So what I want to do once we hit 4,000 watch time hours, I'm probably going to make these streams a very special thing where I will probably have them go live on Twitch and YouTube if I can at the same time, and then I'll say, okay, so I have them going live both at the same time. Once the videos finish, I will probably just hit them up as a you know what I mean, an unlisted video. So if somebody wants to watch the video at a later date, if they have questions, I can like send them those streams to be watched, privately. But I'll save all of our main body of content as edited videos. So, if you want to go back and watch something, I can do that. I can even have them as unlisted videos that are linked on our website. So if you want to look through specific catalogs of certain topics that we cover on live streams, you would be able to find that. But for the rest of it, we'll probably have the channel be more condensed. That way, the main things that people are seeing on the channel are these nice, high quality edited videos, so that it'll help us to, one, get more repeat viewers, and two, it'll help people to understand in a more concise format what exactly we're doing, rather than seeing one old video and then seeing like today's live stream with update, and it's just kind of like, oh, okay, but I see you have like 400 videos. How does that connect? I don't want to watch all 400 videos to get the updates on Eternia, but where do I go for different things? So we're going to be doing more with playlists, but we're also going to be probably consolidating a lot of our stuff down. Um, Muhammad said, soon we will enter into a state of hyperinflation. Oh, goodness. I'm sorry, Muhammad. It sounds like it's already getting close. Muhammad said, now rate is $1 to 88 Afghans, but black market goes up to $1, 2,532 Afghans. I know this because I am trading at black market rate. Oh, goodness. That's wild. So, wow. So in order to purchase, for example, a barrel of oil, or of gas, if you're using gasoline, you're trying to, you're paying, like you said, I think last time, like 10, potentially 20,000 Afghanis, excuse me, just to get, a relatively decent amount of oil, enough gasoline to fill up a car, or to, run your generator. That's ridiculous. Um, uh, 15, 30 gallons of gas, something like that. UASR says, hey, what's up, UASR? How are you? Big Meme says, shootings are the best defended against with a gun. makes well, hold up. But you're saying that though. But I think the best thing to if a shooting is ongoing, sure, I see your point. But I think the best way to stop a shooting is to prevent it altogether. And I think the fact of the matter is, if you have a lot of people in a small area and a good number of people have guns, eventually, somebody's going to get in a road rage incident and shoot somebody. Somebody's going to get into a spousal argument and shoot somebody. There's going to be a big problem. So the more that you can prevent and limit that ability for a violent altercation to come up uh, in the first place, the more you can benefit your community as a whole. USR says some real bad stuff is going down in the UASR. Tell me about it. Mohammed said, Salam alaikum, UASR. Salam alaikum, Mohammed. UASR says the USAR might be next. What's happening? Mohammed also asked what's happening. UASR says Soviet Republic. Hey, Mohammed, glad you're still here. Absolutely. And then UASR said cyber attacks and a rebellion. Oh, I'm sorry to hear about that. What happened with the cyber attacks? Fake name says Torrance. I say this unironically. Based. What was Torrance's thing? Did I miss it entirely? Or were you asking about the citizen thing? Ooh, okay. Because I hadn't seen a previous Torrance post besides that. UASR says, and in the surrounding USA there is rioting. Oh, goodness. Connor Hedner says, what is this stream about? I'm giving updates. So I'm telling you guys good news from my life and what's been happening, as well as future updates about Eternia. We've also been talking to Muhammad a little bit and telling him, fortunately, Muhammad is okay. He's been doing well. We haven't been able to stream the last few days because of myself being on a much-needed camping trip. I was cut off from all civilization through the internet. But we also got 37, you guys aren't going to be able to see that at all. 3,700 watch time hours as of today. We have 3,700 watch time hours, so we only need 300 more in order to hit monetization. That's huge for us. That's a big deal. And so I hope that gives you a little bit of insight, Connor. Benjamin says, I'm going for an open access initiative. What do you mean, Benjamin? Torrance says, making something illegal creates the black market. It's better to just have an open market with minimum regulations. This includes gun ownership and use. I hear you, Torrance. I can definitely understand that point. A lot of libertarians, a lot of conservatives have the same idea. The problem is, from my understanding, a lot of other countries have shown this with great success, have shown that the more regulation you have, specifically when it deals with gun control, the less shootings and violent crime you have. It's not that, for example, the UK has very, very strict very strict gun laws. So do many other European countries. In all of the other, countries, in most other countries around the world, if you combine all of their shootings for a year, you still don't get even close to the number of shootings the USA has, like every month. Like it's a really crazy thing. I think there was something like 15 or 20 or something like that shootings that occurred in like most oh goodness, I forget what it is, like G7 countries or something like that. And yet, in the United States, there were, like a couple hundred or something that happened in a year. Like it was like a very drastic difference. Most of those countries have a lot stricter gun control. Even Australia, which, by other countries' standards has not super strict gun control. So it's interesting. Let's see. Muhammad says, I don't know if that's him. I only know that one province is controlled by warlords. Ah, makes sense. Is that province near your province? Is that near Panjshir? Vincent says, what have I walked into? We're discussing a lot of stuff. Connor says, can you do a Twitter Space AP? So, I don't want to do one right now just simply because I'm going to be going a little bit later to visit my father. I'm going to be spending some time with him. I'm going to be telling him some good news. One about, again, my going to grad school, which I'm super thrilled about. I feel super fortunate for, which means I'll be able to pursue physics in a even greater capacity. And I'm excited about some stuff. There's some other stuff that I've talked to him about that I want to learn about, that I, want his opinion on and advice on. So I'm excited. There's a lot of big stuff going on right now. Mohammed says, but gas market is cheap. 500 Afghanis for 1 liter of gas. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Vincent says, so my takeaway is to prevent a shooting is to calm the situation down. The gun should be a last resort in an altercation. Absolutely. 100%. That's very true. So, for a lot of other instances, there are plenty of situations where either one, I think this is kind of a tangent topic, but police should either be trained more in de-escalation, which some police are trained in de-escalation, and they're trained minimally. But, if you had police taking psychology courses, if you had police taking, extensive hostage negotiation courses, if you had police taking extensive sociology courses and things like that, and really having an expanded education for our police force at every single level, I feel like, and encouraging, last resort, more preventative measures, you would end up in a situation where you would have a lot less frequent shootings. One of the things that there's been a lot of protest in the last several years in our country, but has been going on for decades and decades and decades in our country, are protests based around unjust police shootings. You can go through individual cases of police shootings and look at, whether you agree or disagree with a certain verdict or whatever. But at the end of the day, there is an overwhelming amount of police shootings that are contested and that are brought up and said, this was absolutely unfair, there was no reason for this, and then a lot of people support and rally behind, again, for each individual case. So that being the topic of discussion, it seems like if you had a situation where, yes, police have weapons, but they are told to use those weapons as a last resort, which many already are, but their training isn't necessarily mirrored to facilitate them with the ability to do that. So if you were able to arm police with more effective equipment, more protection, and to really, really have harsh penalties and discourage police from using deadly force, there would be much reduced ability for them, there to be so many cases against police based around these shootings. There would be a limited number of those shootings, and also you would have a situation where you may encourage a more friendly environment toward the police in this country. Okay, multiple things. Torrance says, my comments have been erased. You got me this time, FBI. Ooh. Muhammad said, Torrance, do you want to get on a list of enemies of the state? Just listen to song Shwarm de Jihad. Oh, interesting. Muhammad said, just listen for half a minute and you'll see why. Oh, goodness. Fake name says, Switzerland and you legally required to Switzerland, you are legally required to own a gun, and I never heard of a mass shooting from Switzerland. So I think the problem is mental health and media related. Cusneri, I hear you, but at the same time, Switzerland probably has, and I would look into it. Let me Google it. Switzerland gun laws. Firearms regulation in Switzerland allows the acquisition of semi-automatic and, with a May issue permit, fully automatic firearms by Swiss citizens and foreigners with or without permanent residence. The law pertaining to the acquisition of firearms in Switzerland are among the most liberal in the world. So, let's look at gun laws in Switzerland. Swiss federal gun laws entitle citizens to acquire, own, and carry most types of weapons. So they do not force you to own a weapon. That is not true. But they bar certain types of weapons and require a person to obtain a permit to acquire a gun from a dealer, although not from a private party. A gun owner must have a permit to carry a gun in public for purposes other than hunting or military training. He must demonstrate a need for this permit, which includes self-defense. The law also requires the manufacture, commercial sale, import, export, and transportation of weapons. So yeah, that's something that the United States does not do nearly as heavily. Violators are subject to fines and imprisonment. Several cantons, states, have additional provisions that are not discussed in this memo because their laws are not readily accessible. In 1993, Swiss voters accepted a constitutional amendment that authorized Parliament to pass a, quote, gun abuse law. This law was adopted in 1997 and went into effect in 1998. It preserves the rights of citizens to acquire, own, and carry guns, including the Swiss military-issued arms, but it bars certain categories of arms such as fully automatic guns, dangerous weapons such as stun guns, and accessories such as silencers and night vision scopes. they have more, more regulation than us. They say even to just carry a weapon in public, and this is federal law. This isn't even like individual or individual states that are regulating that. They're saying you have to go through background checks, you have to go through obtaining a license, and then on top of that, you have to necessitate a reason for why it's justified that you get that. It may be easy to get it, but you still have to go through those steps. So that's what I'm saying. Here in the U.S., we're very opposed to gun regulation. We say, no, you can't add any more gun regulation. That's too much. But if you do increase gun regulation, that's not going to affect any legal gun owner. That's not going to affect anybody who is, reasonably carrying guns and using them for the right purposes, except in a minor inconvenient sense in some cases. Like for 99% of people, it's not going to be a big deal. Um, um, Torrance says, I'll check out Muhammad. I want to be on the U.S. watch list. Oh, goodness. Connor says, have to go, everyone. Good night. Good night, Connor. Good to see you. Also, 14 viewers, 15 likes. Thank you guys for watching the video. And again, please keep liking it because it helps us to shoot up in the number of viewers that we have. And it also helps us to get the word out on micronationalism. As well, the more viewers we get, the more watch time we get. And we're trying to hit to that 4,000. We only have 300 more. So thank you guys so much. Ryan was saying, I was reading this article on 19th century gun control in Western towns. People have had guns in their homes, but in town you had to turn your guns in at the sheriff's office. I think that's completely reasonable. And that was in the Wild West, as people call it, this lawless land. Muhammad says, also listen to, and he said another one, but I'm not going to pronounce it because it sounds, I feel like I'd butcher it instantly. He said, not again, hold on, gunshots and screams. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry, Muhammad. Muhammad is actively going to check out some issues that are occurring in his province. In Panjshir province. I'm quite concerned. I hope he's okay. Every single time we've come on the stream since we've known Muhammad, since we started talking to him, there have been plenty of issues where he comes in and is, telling us, hey, there's been an awful attack. There has been brutal killing of children, of women. There have been kidnappings of women. There have been, beheadings of men and things. Brutal, legitimately horrific, unimaginable violence occurring in someone's everyday life. And every time I hear him say, hold on, I'll be right back, I have to go and check on my family's well-being and safety and the safety of the people in my town, it always makes me like tense up a little bit. It's not cool. It's a really heavy topic. Muhammad, please be careful. Ryan says, frontier towns by and large prohibited the, quote, carrying of dangerous weapons of any type, concealed or otherwise, by persons other than law enforcement officers. Most established towns that restricted weapons had few, if any, killings in a given year. That's very nice. And it's smart. Ryan said that's a portion of the article I'm reading. Very cool. Raspberry T-Man says, I'm late, but I'm here. It's good to see you, Raz. Raz is another person who's always in here, and I definitely appreciate it. Polycom said, ew. What's up, Polycom? Why is it ew? Why are you hating on it? Polycom, I appreciate you hanging out with us. And also, if you do enjoy what we're doing, or if you just want to let us know your thoughts and why you might be feeling grossed out by the icky gun control conversation, definitely like the stream, subscribe to us if you feel interested in learning more about micronations and small countries. And definitely make sure to drop us a comment because I want to hear from you. I want to hear your opinion. Ryan says a lot of Wild West stories and movies are generated from the mythology of that region rather than the history. Makes sense. Muhammad says, oh, Allah, why is this happening? Muhammad, what's happening? Talk to us. Raspberry says gun control or gun regulation. Gun regulation, I suppose, but I feel like they're used interchangeably, even though I understand why you might say them. They're different things. Muhammad says, why does this have to happen to Afghanistan? What's happening, Muhammad? Talk to us. Fake name says what's happening. Muhammad, what's going on? Raspberry said another death? More than likely. More than likely. Muhammad says another dead child now beaten to death. I'm sorry, Muhammad. That's awful. I assume children are just easy prey. They're just targets that are, it's it's brutal. It's it's ridiculous. It's shameful, but it's wild to think about people just from that stance. It's a human being, but I imagine in these people's eyes, they're trying to pick off weak targets. They're trying to attack people who won't fight back and or who can't fight back. And a lot of the time, I imagine that's older people and sick people and malnourished people and children. So, and women. Women can still fight back, but it's brutal. It's brutal. It's brutal. It's brutal. What's happening? And again, it's weird for me to sit here and to pretend like, oh wow, this is so sad. I cannot understand this. I cannot pretend to know what it's like to see somebody brutally beaten to death in front of you. It's a shame. Muhammad says, like this was whipped and punched with fists in the face. A child, like a child, a young child. Muhammad says this child is a true shaheed, a martyr. Absolutely, absolutely. And more so than that, should be a symbol that this cannot be a just society. This cannot be a fair society where, people who are waving the state's flag, who are waving the Taliban flag, the people who supposedly control the country are going in and beating children to death with their fists. How are you not dragged through the streets at that point? You know what I mean? I'm I'm not saying a civil society is one that just drags people through the streets for their crimes, but beating a child to death with your fists. What kind of a person can do that? That first off, that has to take a long time. That's not like a one punch. They're beating the child. That's horrible. Brian says how uh, Satanism and imperialism, an unsistered look at the violence of statism, not Satanism. He said statism and imperialism, statism and imperialism, an uncensored look at the violence of state creation. Absolutely. People trying to seize control and doing it by any means necessary. I agree with that. Muhammad said, what the, oh God. He said, oh good, but he meant, oh God, I believe. They cut off a woman's head. Maybe the mother. Do you know Muhammad? Do you know what's happening? They cut a woman's head off and they beat a child to death with their fists. That it's strange because you can't make that up. Like you you wouldn't see that in a nightmare. You know what I mean? It's horrible. Maybe a beheading, but a beheading is still. I don't think you can imagine that in real life. Muhammad, I am so sorry that you're having to see that. I'm so sorry that it's happening to people in your country. That to me sounds worse than a nightmare. I don't think I could dream up a nightmare like that. I could not imagine what it looks like. Muhammad's screaming, in all caps. They killed a whole family. One of them was a baby, one wholly month old. They killed infants. They killed a family. They beat a child to death with their fists. The fake name says the Taliban should be flying a different white banner. Should be ashamed. Should be walking around with their tails in between their legs. Muhammad says, how big of a monster do you have to be to kill a baby? That's a great question. That's a great question, Muhammad. I don't know. Maybe if we did, it'd be easier to stop them, but I don't know. Muhammad, it this is graphic and this is insensitive, maybe, but Muhammad said this is who we're fighting. Absolutely. What what do you do in a situation like that? Again, I Muhammad Manu says, how big a monster do you have to be to just be slaughtering babies left and right? Someone who wants to win at all costs, I guess, but the most dastardly, most destructive type of human being. No care for life, even the most fragile, most simple, most basic, most pure form of life. It's a shame. You can't claim you're doing the right thing or fighting like a holy fight or whatever and murder babies. Raz says even the U.S. had Salem witch trials and Western expansion. Oh, absolutely. The U.S. has done really bad stuff too. But I'm not comparing the two. Different times, different instances, moments in history where atrocities happened all over the world. But this is particularly gruesome to see and hear of right now in front of us. Mohammed says, I saw what they did to Russian soldiers. They would cut off their arms and legs and bury them in soil with only their head remaining above the soil. Damn. That's horrible. Ryan said the USA did similar things in its genocides of the Native American, for example. Oh, absolutely. In the U.S. and Canada, there were found, this isn't the only example, but there were found schools where Native American children were taken from their families and told, you need to be educated in the ways of the white man. You need to be taught, English and not, learn your native language, not participate in your native rituals or religion. You need to be a Christian. You need to speak English. You need to, learn how to adapt and live in English society. And they nonetheless went out of their way to systematically kill the children in those schools. Like the schools themselves had mass graves of Native American children that they murdered and buried. It was brutal and horrible. And they didn't care. They were doing it on purpose. They knew what they were doing. They were, dragging these children away from their safety and, trying to force them into a box. And when it didn't work, they just murdered them. Yeah. Um, Polycom says, I can't understand Polycom. Muhammad said they would slowly die. I'm sorry, Muhammad. That's wild to think about. I don't know. I guess the sand would stop some of the bleeding, but you wouldn't imagine a lot of it. That's very scary. Muhammad says, and they say that they are the guardians of Afghanistan. Muhammad said they're the guardians of Satan. Absolutely. Monsters. Ryan says Vlad the Impaler. Yeah, absolutely. Did similarly atrocious things to his victims. Raz says the Impaler would take Ottoman soldiers and impale them, but impaling didn't kill the people. It hurt a lot. The person eventually died of thirst, starvation, or other. Absolutely, by going, through their mouth from their organs. Muhammad says of Satan and Iblis, worst demon of Islam. I hope I pronounced that right. Absolutely. Absolutely, Muhammad. Raz says, yes, Vlad. Fake Name says, I believe in the ancient justices of an eye for an eye. I hope and pray the Taliban is forced to suffer the pain they inflicted. That makes sense, Fake Name. And I definitely understand that. I would say the only stipulations for that is, you the killing of a baby is something that can never be like done equally. That's the horrible thing about it. If you, as retaliation for killing a baby, kill someone's baby, that's horrible. I don't think that's what you're suggesting at all. But that's why it's such a horrible thing. That's not the only reason. It's a child, it's a pure innocent life, but also you can't goodness. You can't ever get revenge for that without being a monster yourself, and that shouldn't be what you're seeking to do. Raz says, yes, Vlad. Fake name says, I believe in the ancient justice. Yeah. Raz says they are the guardians of extremism, the killing of anyone. Absolutely. Absolutely. And not being concerned with it. That's the thing. It's not just that they're like fighting this really extreme, brutal war and killing anyone. They're also doing it without care. They're doing it, claiming it as a source of pride or that they're, doing it for a good fight. That's a shame. This is also the night when I had to go. I didn't tell you something. They killed a baby, 1-year-old child, 16-year-old child. They were impure, so they cut their heads off. Says, no, 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 no. This isn't war. Exactly. It's the brutal control of a people, a very diverse and very different group of people that are all trying to live in an area and coexist with each other, that a border was drawn around and forced to, try and all work together as one large society. If ever is going to be one large society, it needs to be one that comes out of peace and negotiation and cooperation. That's a lot easier said than done because, this has been happening in a lot more complex a way than I understand and for a lot longer than I've even been around. Or any of us have been around. But at the same time, it's not my home. I can't speak very much on it, but I can say that this is not a war. You're right. This is a show of force. This is an example. This is to create subservience. This is to create obedience. That won't last long. People do not like being caged. People do not like being held on their knees. People do not like being forced into subjugation. Eventually, if you do not treat people with some shred of decency, you won't be in power long. Ryan says, this reminds me of deaths by crucifixion. People have been devising horrible torture deaths for millennia. Absolutely. Raz says, it reminds me of the Holocaust. And I think that's kind of a similar thing. Raz, I could be wrong, but it seems like there was, it seems like this is specifically on, tribal lines, on, religious lines, on ethnic lines. They're doing it because they're people that are either actively fighting back against them or people they just don't like. People they just don't want to be a part of their group. And they want to find some justification for killing them, so they do. Manu says, I don't believe in revenge. If there was some way of destroying the demons living inside these people, but I guess not everything's possible. Absolutely. Muhammad says, 97-year-old woman's hair was cut off and her fingers were cut off. Oh my goodness. Wow. Manu says, she can't walk. She never did anything to them. Yeah. Yeah. So you can tell it's not that, there's some sort of, there can be no justification. There can be no calm. There can be no reasoning behind this. It's just evil for evil's sake. It's violence for violence sake. Ryan says it's the same patterns of behavior. Absolutely. It's just torture. It's just being brutal so that people are so scared of you that they won't fight back. Being so hateful that people can't imagine a better way of life. If you are torturing and subjugating people for so long, then any shred of relief that they get from being tortured feels like you've given them a gift. Feels like, they're getting rewarded for living in the way that you're telling them to, for this brutal subjugation that you're inflicting on them. So I guess they feel if they can just kill and hurt and shut down enough people that eventually people will just feel lucky to be alive. But that can't last long. You have to kill everyone. You can't stop everyone. Muhammad said, but they have no courage to fight me because I would bury them if I only spit on them. Absolutely. Absolutely. Muhammad, I'm so sorry you're having to go through this and to see this. And I say that knowing full well that you feel sorry that all of these people are going through it and, dying and suffering. Muhammad says, one moment, more screaming, I have to go to save them. Be back soon. I understand, Muhammad. Good luck. Be safe. Raz says, I wouldn't bother to bury them. Absolutely. But I think Muhammad is a special person. I think he's trying to do what he can, to try and do the right thing. It's horrible. I just, there's no reason. There's no reason for it. It's a shame. I only wish that there was more that we could do. I only wish that we could, show people, and I think that that's what I'm trying to do here, to show you all this is still ongoing. Of course, there are plenty of things we have to focus on here in the United States and wherever you live out there in the world. But when you hear stories like Muhammad's, I don't know Muhammad personally. I am lucky to have been able to speak to him these last few days. I feel like I've learned a lot about him in a very short period of time. But I have no other contact with Muhammad outside of that. It's just hearing these stories, learning about what's happening. It opens your eyes because you don't get that information anywhere else. You don't hear, daily accounts of mass butcherings and slaughterings. And I'm fortunate that the internet has given us the ability to do that. But it opens my eyes to the concept that that is not unique in this world. Yes, 100%, this is a particularly horrific time in Afghanistan's history. And yes, this is something that we all need to be paying attention to and keeping mind of. That, yeah, you may have some bad stuff going on in your home country. Yeah, there may be brutal killings of people. There may be injustice. There may be horror. But this is unique. This is a special type of state-sponsored, fully controlled, unhinged violence on a group of people who have little to no way to fight back. This is military-grade equipment being used on babies, literal babies, infants, the elderly, sick people, cancer patients. This is bombings of hospitals. This is, horrible suffering. So when we learn about these things and when we hear from people like Muhammad, it opens our eyes to the unique atrocities that are happening there, but also to to try to raise awareness and to bring people's attention to it for some sort of change. But the other thing is that it reminds you this is happening in other places. Maybe not in exactly the same way, maybe not as brutally, but there are states, there are groups of people, there are institutions that are systematically killing people, that are committing genocides, that are, murdering babies right now in the world, not just in Afghanistan, in other places too. There are horrible injustices that we don't have the ability to see, like we're at least getting to hear secondhand from Muhammad, because those places don't have internet access, because those people can't just get online and talk about it. Muhammad barely has the ability to do that, and if the Taliban had their way, he wouldn't. So, again, I know everybody has their own stuff to deal with. Every day, you have to do whatever it is that you have to do to survive in your part of the world, to live, to make sure that you're okay. But we have this resource. A lot of us have this resource to be able to connect to each other, to be able to share that experience, share it, talk about it, let people know what's happening to you. Let people know what it's like in your home country. Let people know if there is something wrong that is happening and speak up. When people share that with you, let people know. Put them on blast. Tell the world what is happening. Because if you don't, then there's no way for them to get help. There's no way for things to improve. If it is the government of their country, if it is the people controlling their state, like the Taliban are right now in Afghanistan, there is no way to get retribution. There's no way to do anything without being, considered to break the law and going to jail or being murdered yourself. the only thing that we can do is try to raise awareness. The only thing we can do is speak up and keep sharing these stories, to keep trying to talk to each other and to let each other know what's happening. Muhammad said they're still drowning in blood. It makes me smile. This may sound maniacal. That's wild. Um, I'm sorry to hear that that's brought you to that view, Muhammad. I'm sorry that makes you feel that way, but I would understand. I imagine if I was in your situation, I would feel very similar. Raz says it isn't as maniacal as what they're doing. Agreed, Muhammad. Agreed, Raz. Muhammad said I have to go. I have to rest. See you all. Have a blessed night. Good to see you, Muhammad. You as well. Have a good night. Be safe. Take care. We'll see you soon. Big Name says they got wolves coming. Good night, Muhammad. Raz says may Allah bless you and any rebels. Yeah, absolutely. These people are trying to fight back, trying to do what they can. I can't speak for everybody. Like I said, I don't know Muhammad personally, so I don't know his full situation. But these stories that he's telling, these things that he's talking about, they're wild, and they're things that I can't imagine in person. I can't comprehend going through myself, and so I think it is important that we talk about them and that we share them, that we let people know that this is happening, because there are plenty of people who I'm fairly disconnected. I don't think about this on a daily basis, especially before we talk to Muhammad. But now, even more so, I know that there are people who either one, even if they were told this, they wouldn't care, or they're completely apathetic, they're completely shut out, or two, they just have no idea that any of this is going on, that they're so far removed. Even if they have the power and resources to do something, they wouldn't. That's where we need change. We need to get this messaging to those people. We need to let people know that this is happening and that this is real and that this is going to keep happening unless people do more to try and make change at the government level, at trying to raise awareness and support. If enough people support it, governments around the world will step in. They will do more. They will try and aid more. They will try and assist more. But right now, there's not enough. Not nearly. So, yeah, we talked about gun laws tonight. We talked about our monetization, which again, congratulations everybody. I want to real quick. Dang, I can't do the function right now because my keyboard's messed up. But let me see if I can tilt it and show you guys again. Once again, shout out everybody. Whoop whoop. 30. It's over here. 3,700 watch time hours. Hey, very cool. 37 out of 4,000. So we're getting really, really close. Raz asked if we got monetization. Not yet, we didn't, Raz, but we're getting close. And you guys being on these streams is helping out a ton. We are at 3,700 out of 4,000. That is by far the furthest we've ever gotten. We only need 300 more watch time hours left. If we have streams like this where we're going for, a couple hours at a time, if we have 10, 20 viewers as a part of that, we can end up with, if we have 10 viewers, we'll get 20 watch time hours, of course. But the more that we can spend on here, the more that we can spend time, the more people are a part of it and who continue to flood in, the stronger that our case gets, the quicker that we will hit monetization. If we get streams like these and we can stream for 3, 4, 5 hours, a day, we can pretty quickly hit those 300 watch time hours that we need, and we will rocket off to 4,000. We're going to hit it. We're going to do it. And once we do, that coupled with right now we're at 1,810 subscribers. We're getting close to 2,000. If we can hit all of that together as one big combo, we will be sitting very, very well to continue to make larger and larger moves for Eternia. Again, we're continuing to expand. We're continuing to do more and more, but this money that will come in through monetization should help us out a lot with that. Again, I'm going to be eventually putting ads on these live streams when we do them, so that when you guys hang out, you may have to watch an ad or two. But that if you watch that ad, if you sit through the ad and deal with it, and grit and bear it for me, it will help a lot, because we will be able to do so much for Eternia. That I will show you regularly. Hey, this is what we were able to do thanks to people watching those ads, thanks to people hanging out, thanks to people subscribing and supporting our Patreon. It'll allow us to bring bigger and better content to you guys. So we're moving on up, and you guys are helping us to do that. Like I said, in a few minutes here, we're going to get going to go ahead and have dinner with my dad, go spend some time with him, and go tell him about some of the good news that's happening and some of the things we have to kind of plan and make decisions on. But we're going to keep moving, we're going to keep doing stuff, and I want to thank you guys. I really do, from the bottom of my heart. There's been so much that's been happening recently, and I know that it's a lot. And so some of this, somebody said earlier, fake name said, well, it's important to hear these things, but it's also good to keep good mental health. Anyone up for some good news? Yes, absolutely, Kuznaria, please share us your good news. Yes, it is absolutely important to keep good mental health as well. So definitely take care of yourselves, guys. Definitely be careful. Definitely be thinking about things as much as you possibly can to try to make sure that you're in a good state of mind. It's not easy, especially when we're talking about these rough topics, especially when tough stuff's going on in your life. But you know, build that safety net for yourself. Build that support network, whether that's friends and family, a counselor, whoever it may be, people online. Start somewhere and build more. The better a group of people that you can rely on and trust and connect to, the more you will feel that you can pursue things in life, the more you will feel like you can reach bigger and better things, and the less you will be afraid of getting stuck in a rut or getting shut down in something. And you'll be able to recognize more easily when you do. Mental health is not an easy thing. Again, we've talked about it in the channel before, but it's important that I tell you guys, if you're struggling with anything with mental health, if you're dealing with anything going on in your life, keep pushing, keep going with it. Be safe, be thoughtful, be mindful of who you are and what you need, and just know that I'm rooting for you. I'm proud of you, and I'm excited to see your flourishment, your flourishing into whatever type of life it is that you want to live. I appreciate you guys supporting us. Real quick, before we continue, I see that there may be one or two more comments that are flowing in. Before we head out, I'm going to go run and grab Tiffany so that we can get prepared for heading out, and then I'll run right back to shut off the stream. So if you guys don't mind sitting for just a second, I'll run and I'll be right back. Excuse me, guys. BRB. Oh goodness. Hey everybody. I appreciate you guys still hanging out. First off, multiple things. Benjamin said, AP, how you used your monetization for UBI among citizens. Um, uh, how about use your monetization for universal basic income among your citizens? That's a great point, Benjamin. I will say, so I think there is a limitation to what we can do, but that's absolutely a goal that we would be working toward eventually. Monetization on YouTube is not very much money. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to become a millionaire. It's not. It's maybe like $100 a year or something. I can look at if we're a social blade. This is a website that tells you a little bit about how YouTube channels do. You can look up just about any YouTube channel of a certain size, and it will tell you a little bit about what they should be making and stuff. So, for example, estimated earnings for us would be anywhere between $2 on the low end and $33 a month if I were to be monetized. More than likely, it's going to be on the low end. So they say estimated yearly earnings between $25 and $395 a year. So that's not even enough for me to have a basic income to survive. You know what I mean? I couldn't become a full-time YouTuber on $325 a year. I wouldn't be able to survive. So that being the case, I think that's probably not, even if that's, and that's the maximum. That's like if we got paid the full, we got like crazy ad revenue, but we're not going to get that. So more than likely, like $100-something a year, maybe we'll get through monetization. So what we're more than likely going to do is put that toward projects. As we continue to get bigger and bigger, we're going to try and make that and incorporate that as well as other income sources that we gain through investment with this money further and further into creating housing for our citizens. So yes, 100%, if we get enough money, we would love to make a universal basic income, but a universal basic income is not something that we can afford to do right now reasonably. Like I said, I can't even have my own stable income just from running Aeternia, so it's not reasonable to have an income for everybody. That being the case, what we want to do instead is to provide we can't hire employees, for example, right now. We just don't have enough money to do so. That being the case, what we want to do instead is to apply free housing for people. So one of people's biggest expenses, especially here in the United States, is rent. People spend a ton of money on rent or mortgages to try to pay off houses, but most of the time it's rent. So they'll be paying on something that they don't even get any benefit to live in, other than for their lease. Once their lease is up, they get kicked out. So that being the case, and rent prices continue to go up and up and up every year by hundreds of percent. So that being the case, we by multiple times sometimes. What we want to do instead is we want to pivot to being able to try to provide free housing, because that would be the best way to do something that's really effective for our residents, people who would want to live in Aeternia and help to contribute, while minimizing the amount that it will cost us in the long term. It'll be a big short-term investment because we'll have to pay to have their houses built, but once we do, they don't have to pay rent there, which will save them a lot of money, and will basically be like an added income for them, because they just won't have to pay for housing at all. They'll just have it for free, so they can save the rest of their income that they normally would be spending on housing to spend toward whatever they want. It will also benefit us because it will provide us some sincerely dedicated citizens who have a nice, comfortable, stable place to live, and will bring a close-knit community together. So we will continue to do bigger and better things as time goes on, but that will be the start. And I think that's a pretty impressive way to start, if you ask me. Fake Names says, first thing, that recently completed the Social Republic of Jockwell's micro-wiki, and it's cool and interesting. Raz says, what's the page title? Fake Names says, second thing, Cusneria micro-wiki is almost done but currently available for viewing. Fake Names says, finally, I just wanted to talk about this. I went on the 4th date with my Gia. Congratulations. Cusneria, that's awesome. Fake Names says, Raspberry Socialist Republic of Jockwell. Raz says, ooh, that's great news. I'm happy for you. Absolutely. Everybody says, congrats to Fake Name. And Raz says, looking at it now. Polycom says, third degree? What? Gross. Polycom's just blowing up the chat. Not even blowing up the chat, just blowing up the toilet. Again, they're doing they're saying some weird stuff. Anyway, I have to get going. I need to make sure that I can go and hang out with Tiffany, spend some time with my dad, and of course, get back to you guys with some more new updates tomorrow. As you can see, my nose is pretty red from my sunburn and stuff, but I am really happy to be with you all and to be able to come back to pushing toward that 4,000. So I appreciate you guys. I'm thankful that you guys are here with us, and I will see you guys next time. As I say in every video, what is it? Eternia forever. I appreciate you guys. Peace, everybody. I'm gonna wait for everybody to come rolling in with their buys before we head out. But I do appreciate you guys, and I can't wait for more updates. Raz says bye. Raz says it's great. Benjamin says open access is a type of moneyless economy. Hey, very cool, Benjamin. Manu says, how many times a week do you get a haircut? Honestly, it's not a haircut. It's just me putting gel in my hair. Legitimately, Manu. I didn't get another haircut. And then Manu said, bye. Bye, Manu. Bye, everybody. Thank you guys for hanging out. I will see you soon. Eternia forever. Peace, guys.